Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful start to your week. Thank you so much for registering for this webinar with the National Academy of Inventors and learning more about our Senior Members Program. For those of you whom I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Yashira Cabrera, and I oversee the Academy's membership programs as Assistant Director of Member Engagement. With me is Jacquie Burckley. I'm sure many of you have been working with Jacquie and already know her, but I'm going to give her an opportunity to say hello.
Hope you're all doing well.
We are so excited to have this time to share with you all today to really give you more information about the Senior Members Program. As you know, this is our most recent program that we added last fall, and so this is only the second cohort to be nominated and soon to be elected to the Academy, and so we're really excited to be able to help you throughout this process, learning today specifically about the eligibility criteria, the nomination process, how to enhance those nominations. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the chat function and we will answer them at the end. Throughout this webinar, we will be giving you a brief history of NAI, and Jacquie will be going over the details of the Senior Members Program, including the benefits, eligibility criteria, like I mentioned before, nomination materials that are going to be needed, and ways to really enhance your nomination. I am new to NAI. I just started a week before our annual meeting, so that was exciting to meet all of you before actually digging into the program. And I'm really excited to be able to, my purpose is to really help you as member institutions be able to maximize the benefits of being a valued member institution. So always feel free to reach out to Jacquie or directly to myself if you have any questions, not only about the Senior Member Program, but about institutional benefits, about starting a chapter, or about benefits in general. Because we do have a couple of new member institutions on here, I'm going to give a brief history. The National Academy of Inventors is a member organization comprised of U.S. and international universities, as well as governmental and nonprofit research institutions. We have grown to over 4,000 individual member inventors and fellows spanning more than 250 worldwide institutions. The NAI offers the most comprehensive network of innovative, dedicated, and successful thought leaders, researchers, tech transfer professionals, and change agents in the invention space. We also serve as advocates at the local, state, and national levels, promoting the importance of intellectual property, invention, and innovation for the benefit of society. If you want to learn more about how to get involved in any of those specific areas, please feel free to reach out to me. And that is something that I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about. Finally, we also strive to inspire present and future inventors by recognizing and honoring their discoveries and encouraging inventive activity. And we really strive to do that at every level. So at an institutional level, you're able to honor inventors and even student inventors through your local chapter. You can also honor other people across your institution and across your community that have had an impact in promoting and fostering the spirit of innovation at your community, in your community through your chapter, and that's a local recognition. And then obviously recognizing innovators and inventors at the national and international levels through our Senior Members and Fellows program. So now I'm going to bring Jacquie back in, and she's going to dig deeper into the Senior Members Program, and we'll answer your questions.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Like Yashira mentioned, my name's Jacquie Burckley. I've had the pleasure of working with most of you throughout the senior member process, whether that was getting you some more information about the program or helping you work through your nomination. And I'm really excited to talk to you more about the program today. But before we get started, I want to congratulate the 65 inventors who were elected into the inaugural class. I see that we have some of the senior members here, so I want to congratulate you on your election. I also want to thank you to the advisory committee members that helped elect those senior members. We're honored to have worked with you. Senior members are essentially early stage researchers, professors, and impactful members of society who have success in patents, licensing, and commercialization. They've produced technologies that have brought or have the potential to bring real change on society, all while fostering a spirit of innovation within their communities, especially at the institutional level, focusing on students. Election to senior member status is exclusively available to someone who's affiliated with an NAI member institution, and that's a really big difference between the Fellows program. This benefit really recognizes early inventors in their communities, not just nationwide. Some of the benefits of the senior member program include national recognition of achievement and success, recognition and promotion through NAI media communications, and access to a global network of the top innovators. Senior members also receive special member rates at all of our annual meeting and other special events. There's also mentorship opportunities for senior members to foster a spirit of innovation with future inventors through our GAIN platform, which is a global academic inventors network. You also have opportunities to submit 3 articles each year to our academic journal, Technology and Innovation, with a pretty significant discount. So those are just some of the benefits, and we can definitely go more into them in more detail if you'd like at the end. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what the senior member benefits look like. So for eligibility, we do have some requirements. For example, the candidate must be in professional practice or research in your current field for at least 7 years. And some of that includes active research on fields like engineering, chemistry, biology, whatever your discipline may be, or instructing classes in those fields. And additionally, we do take work on clinical trials into consideration for professional practice. You must also have at least 1 US patent that has been licensed, or you can have 5 total US patents. Most senior member nominations that I get do end up having a combination of both, but either one or the other is just fine as well. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest differences between the Fellows and the Senior Member Program is that NAI member institution affiliation. That is required for the Senior Member nominee to be eligible for consideration. If you're unsure if your institution is an affiliate of the NAI, you can check out our website for a complete list. And finally, as a note, because NAI Fellows are already recognized with the highest degree from the NAI, they are not eligible for senior membership consideration.
And just to jump in here briefly, another benefit that's strictly for senior member nominations versus fellows is the fact that senior members are able to self-nominate. Fellows, to be nominated as a fellow, you are not able to self-nominate. So as you're working with the junior faculty and your inventors and researchers at your individual institutions, please rest assured that we know that sometimes things are busy and the workloads can be difficult to manage, but you can also not only support the Academy through nominating persons from your institution, but also encouraging them to self-nominate if that is an opportunity, if that is something that they're interested in. And you can share their information with Jacquie or myself, or just forward them the information, such as the website on where they can submit their self-nomination, and they can upload all of their documents, their CV, and all of those fun things on their own.
Thank you, Yashira, very much. There are some required materials for the nomination to be submitted. First, you'll need the nominee's full CV, followed by a complete list of US patents, and we also require a statement of purpose or a letter of nomination for the nominee. In this letter, I suggest highlighting the success of the nominee's patents and the impacts the patents have made or have the potential to make. An example of an NAI affiliate that letter must come from is listed for you here on the presentation. If this is a self-nomination, that would be considered a statement of purpose, or if you're nominating somebody else, this would be a letter of nomination, and this should be on letterhead. I want to go over the timeline a little bit. The nominations for a senior member are accepted continuously throughout the year, which is another big difference between the Fellows program, which is just once annually. Elections are announced biannually, shown here. You have the 12-month nomination schedule. Our second round of nominations are open now and are actually closing in just a few weeks, so get your nominations in. All nominations submitted between January 1st of this year through June 30th of this year will go through a review of our advisory committee in July, and those elected will be announced in August. And starting on July 1st, any submissions that are in from July 1st through December 31st will be elected in February. So nominations are accepted continually throughout the year with elections in August and February. If a nomination is in our portal, but we see it hasn't necessarily had much activity or movement, we'll reach out to the nominator to try to encourage a submission. But if after 6 months there is no activity on a nomination, it will be pulled from the portal. After completing the nomination packet and submitting all your materials, our team will be notified, and then your nomination will be reviewed by our advisory committee. And based on the amount of nominations submitted, not every eligible candidate will be elected. I've seen a lot of nominations that are just the brightest and the best in their field who are not necessarily elected. So depending on the number, there are ways you can enhance your nomination. If our advisory committee maybe says that your nominee needs more time or more experience compared to other nominees, we'll let the nominator know, and you can go ahead and resubmit for consideration up to 18 months. If your nominee isn't elected within 18 months, which is 3 nomination periods, you'll have to wait 1 year for that nominee to be reconsidered. At that time, nominators will have access each nomination period to upload new documentation for the committee's review. All right, so I talked a little bit about enhancing your nomination packet. NAI involvement is something that holds a lot of weight for the advisory committee. You can be involved with NAI in many different ways. You can submit articles to NAI's journal, Technology and Innovation. You can also, as I personally suggest, I recommend quantifying your data when you're writing your letter of nomination. For example, if your nominee has founded 2 startup companies, tell us how many employees that company has, or what was the real economic impact of those companies. Any way you can quantify your data will make your nomination stronger for the advisory committee. And you can also join your institution's NAI chapter if available. If your institution does not have a local chapter, feel free to reach out to Yashira, whose contact information is above. And at this time, I'll get started on your questions, and if you think of any other questions, please utilize your chat function.
Okay, so I do see here a few questions. Let me see here. Angela, early career investigators. So as Jackie mentioned before, usually what we consider an early stage inventor or investigator is someone who's perhaps not necessarily just starting their career, but as opposed to fellows, fellows are usually the vice presidents, presidents of universities, provosts, vice provosts, and have had extensive career tenure, versus an early stage investigator or inventor or someone who would qualify as a senior member is someone who is at perhaps an assistant professor, associate professor. They can even be a dean of a college, but perhaps does not have an extensive list of patents such as a fellows would. So during our fellows nomination, usually a fellow that's elected into the academy has an average of about 20 issued U.S. patents. And I emphasize the word issued because we do receive nominations that where the candidate can have 25, 30 30 patents that have been submitted but not issued. And so if out of the 30 that the person has applied for, they've received 5 that have been issued, that's a differentiator in the fellows versus with the senior member. The average patent count is, let's say, 20. They've applied for about 20 or more, but have been issued, you know, the minimum for the senior member program is 5 issued U.S. patents or 1 licensed or commercialized patent. Let's see here. So for senior members, do the nominations have to be NAI fellows? Andreas, So no, if someone is, so the NAI Fellows is the highest designated award within the Academy. So if someone is a fellow, they would not qualify and should not be nominated as a senior member.
The nominators don't have to be fellows. The nominators just have to be an NAI affiliate, which can include an affiliate with a member institution. It could be a board member. It may be an NAI fellow, but it's not required. Also, the letters of nomination or endorsements, as you say, don't have to be from fellows as well. That might hold some weight in the advisory committee, and if that is available, I would suggest having that as an option, but it's not required. And Jeff, you can become a fellow after serving as senior member. Another one of the big differences I see that you've asked above as well is the career tenure, but also in the way that the nominations are reviewed by our committees. Whereas fellows is, the fellow nominations are reviewed as a whole, and there's not going to be one or two indicators of exactly what is qualifying or disqualifying. And one of those as a whole variables is service to the Academy or involvement with the Academy. And being an elected senior member would hold weight in that category. So I do foresee a lot of senior members eventually becoming elected fellows, to answer your question directly.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Does everyone understand, or is everyone understanding a little bit more about the difference between senior members and fellows?
We do get a lot of questions about that difference. There is an FAQ sheet on the website, and I will be emailing you a recording of this webinar as well as a breakdown of the Q&A.
Okay. How many endorsements in general?
So we require just one letter of nomination. However, there is an optional suggestion to upload letters of recommendation. In the portal, when you're doing your nomination, a required field is your letter of nomination, which would be your endorsement. And then there's an optional field for letters of recommendation. And I've seen anywhere from 1, 2 to 3 letters of recommendation. So anything you can do to bolster your nomination will be helpful. I would say the average is one nomination letter, which is required, and the one optional letter of recommendation. That's what I see the most of when reviewing.
Mm-hmm. And these recommendations on how to enhance a nomination applies to both senior members and fellows. So quantifying the impact on society, proof of mentorship. You know, we are interested in how the nominees have not only created long-lasting impacts on society or have the potential to create long-lasting impacts on society, but how are they changing your institution? How are they helping foster the spirit of innovation? You know, how many students are they actively working with? How many students have they worked with in the past? Have they had perhaps a success story of a student that went on to create something on their own or has achieved great success, you know, because of that mentorship relationship? Those are all details that have nothing to do perhaps with the patent count that the person has, but really gives us an overview on the person and the individual as a whole and how they're contributing to spreading innovation, entrepreneurship, and the goals of both NAI and your local institution.
If you do have any other questions that you think of or throughout the nomination process, yes, feel free to contact either of us at any other later date. We'd be happy to either help you with the nomination process, answer any of your questions, or just give you our recommendations with your nomination.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing before we go is, because we do get this question a lot, please keep in mind if your nominee is not selected, is not elected for the award in the first year, there is a resubmission process. We have to take into account that we do receive a high volume of nominations during the nomination period, and this is both for senior members and for fellows, and we try our best to give an equal representation of all of our member institutions with each award. So usually, on average, I believe, Jacquie, correct me if I'm wrong, we elect 2 to 3 nominees from each institution. So if your institution is nominating 7 inventors, keep in mind that only 2 to 3 of those would likely be elected. So if the person is not elected the first year, there's no impact on the quality of their work or that we didn't think that they were worthy enough to be elected. It's just that it's difficult. It's a very stringent selection process. And we do our best to elect the very best of the best, and they are reviewed by members of their peers. Let's see here. Kristen, so is it worth to even nominate 5 to 7, or should we stick with 3 per year? Kristen, I think that's at your individual discretion. I think 5 nominations would be great, because if at 7, the number of nominations that would likely roll over would be higher. So I think 5 would probably be ideal, because that would make your election ratio higher to a degree, because you'd I don't think I can use that word, but usually 2 to 3 of those 5 would be elected, versus if you nominate 7, only about, less than half of your nominations would be elected.
Keep in mind too, with your question per year, it's 2 nomination periods, so you can even do, 7 total for the year, split up between 4 and 3 with a different nomination period, since they are elected biannually.
Yes, thank you, Jacquie, for that. Will the webinar be available offline?
Yes. We will send you, each one of you who are participated, we will send you a recording of this webinar as well as the PowerPoint slides, and it will also be available on the senior members website for reference at any time.
Yes. All right. You're welcome. We are so excited. As I said at the beginning, I am really here to help you maximize the values to each of your individual institutions and to your membership. So if at any time, if you have ideas on how we can improve the program, improve the benefits, that's something that's very important to me. I want you to be sure that you're receiving the maximum value for being a member of this institution. And if you have ideas on how we can serve you better, or how we can serve you best, then I'm always open to those suggestions. And I know Jacquie is as well. So I think that is all for right now. If you think of anything, please feel free to reach out to us. And have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much, you guys.